Hello everybody, welcome to St Peter Mancroft. If you are visiting our church, you're very welcome to carry on walking around and looking at all the wonderful displays and things that we've got in the church. For the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to be having a conversation with Tim Edwards. My name is Rachel Hobson, and I'm part of the team at St Peter Mancroft that is putting on this amazing artistic project called Hidden, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. But first, let me introduce Tim. He is with the Eastern Region Media. He's a creative facilitator, and he's been very involved in our project so far. So I'm going to hand the microphone over to you, Tim. Tell us a little bit about yourself, about your involvement with Hidden, and anything else that springs to mind.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Very glad to be here and to speak a few words about this amazing community-based project. I was approached last year, I think, with regards to some ideas for putting on an exhibition, for funding the exhibition and that sort of thing, without a thought of actually being fully involved. And then this year, lo and behold, we have a huge community outreach project going on to coincide with the launch of Peter Walker's Hidden sculpture, which I know you can't see it on the camera, but it's directly up above. And it's an enormous cube that's illuminated from inside and out with various patterns etched upon it, really. My role as a creative facilitator, thank you very much, is to work between different organizations working in communities. And by community, we can mean anything from residents in a care home, to schools, to people in the street, to disadvantaged young people, disadvantaged older people as well, and just bringing a little bit of art, a little bit of creativity into their lives, and enabling that to become part of a larger art exhibition.
Thank you, Tim. I'll just say a little bit more about the project as a whole. As Tim has said, the artwork is called Hidden. And the artist, Peter Walker, is encouraging us to think about hidden stories, our own stories and stories from other people who perhaps don't often get an opportunity to tell their stories. And we've been doing a lot of work with schools, and as Tim has said, with residential care homes and community groups. And I'm going to ask Tim in a moment to tell us about his particular involvement. But we've worked with creative people in a number of ways. One of the really interesting community projects we've had has been with 2 residential care homes and 2 schools. And we've had a storyteller who's gone into the residential home in the first instance, talked to some of the residents, got their stories from them, and he's then gone into local primary schools, told the children, the residents' stories, and then got the children to write their own stories as a result. A really lovely kind of community project that was triggered by Peter Walker's artwork. Tim, there was a little period of time this year when you seemed to spend a lot of time making envelopes. Would you like to tell us about that?
Thank you very much. Yes, I wasn't working for the post office. What happened was part of the community outreach pack, if you like, that Peter Walker supplied with the piece, showed how to make an origami envelope. Now, I've come to learn to pronounce envelope instead of envelope, which I would say, because, well, 8 schools of children have looked blankly at me when I've said envelope, and then I just say envelope, and hurrah, they knew exactly what it was. So we did origami sessions, creating small envelopes, basically, that they then decorated. We looked at different patterns from around the world. We looked at structuring the image, if you like, so that it was repeated patterns, which makes a lot of ease about the project then, and it's nice and bright. And they're suspended here in the church itself, between two pillars quite high up. The envelopes do include inside a little message from each of the children. And these can be things that I spoke with them quite a bit about what sort of message they might want to put in. And we discussed hopes, we discussed fears, we discussed wishes and dreams. So I have no envelopes, and nobody ever will. It's completely sealed, and they will be forever a way of, almost a cathartic way of getting something out, because a lot of the children were a little fearful of going on to the big school, as it would be. And of course, the age groups we worked with, they were from sort of 6-year-olds right up to 11, in the whole of the junior school pantheon, if you like. So this was a good way for them to be involved. It was a community that have then since come here to visit. Perhaps you'd like to talk about the school visits that have been going on, Rachel.
I will. I'd like to say that overall, we've worked with over 1,000 children, one way or another, since we started getting going. And we started getting going actually before Easter. The artwork itself came to us towards the end of June, but a lot of work had been going on before then. You were in school, Tim, other people went into schools, and we've been having school visits since the installation. So it's been a terrific response from local schools in the community. But I just want to move on to something else, Tim, because I know you are somebody who works in the community in an artistic way, an artistic facilitator. And it's interesting, isn't it, to think about different ways that art has been expressed and developed over a long, long time. Can I pass the mic over to you and you can tell us a bit about that?
Indeed, it's something that struck me initially, really, with regards to Peter Walker putting a piece in a church, and that was that the long history of art history, if you like, even if you trace it back to the Renaissance, for example, where the great works, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, all these fantastic art pieces that we can instantly conjure up in our minds. We can instantly see them in our mind's eye, if you like. And these, of course, were commissioned for churches. It was the established church, and it was those associated with the churches that would commission artists, which led to the development then of art schools. Michelangelo had an art school. They all had people working for them, creating the works, basically, really. So it was quite interesting that, again, here there was a team from the church working to commission a giant art piece. I'm pointing up above, viewers, to the hidden sculpture. And it just seemed like it was a very nice metaphor, really, for continuing the development of art within a church setting, whether it's a religious piece, or whether it's just something that just makes you think, because art, in all its phases and structures, it's always had the power to, no matter what you think of it, to make you think. Whether it's, oh, I just totally disagree with it, and you don't invest any thought into what it looks like or what it might be touching upon, and whether it just says something straight away to you. And there's been a lot of different responses to this piece.
Yes, that's really interesting, isn't it? Thinking about art within the context of a church. And I know a number of people have said during this project, would it be the same if Hidden was in an art gallery? And I think the answer is no, it wouldn't have been the same. I think the fact that it is in this very special place with a long, long Christian history means that we look at it partly within the realms of that history. And as you say, churches and other places of worship have often offered to people who came in pictures, images, sculptures, and then of course the whole musical history as well, which enables people to think and reflect and perhaps meditate in a way that would be different if we were in a secular space. The one thing that Hidden has prompted me to do is, well, it's this phrase, pay attention, really. You know, it's made me think about what Peter Walker is trying to say about universal concepts like, for example, nature, patterns in nature, historical traditions, etc. And for me, rather than just kind of thinking, oh yeah, that's interesting, and then passing on to doing my shopping in M&S, pausing and thinking, yes, what is he saying and how am I responding? Is that going to affect what I go out and do when I do leave this building? Lots of really interesting questions. Well, we've nearly come to the end of our time, but Tim, I know it's shocking, really. Any kind of last thoughts about the project and about Hidden?
The initial concept, I think, of something hidden is obviously going to be very intriguing. We've all got a story within us. We've been working with other groups and organisations as well in different disparate communities, and we're hoping to collate their stories, if you like. And I do need to say that, even though this piece, I'm pointing up above again, even though this piece is here until the 31st of August, the project is continuing. There'll be reflections on Hidden throughout the rest of the year, and I'm sure there'll be more art pieces to be hung up and displayed from the various communities that we work with. And as a concept, Hidden, I'm just looking around at all the people here and I'm thinking, we've all got a story. We've all got something that we hide, something that we don't. It's not the face we show to the world as soon as we step out of the door. We brush our hair, for example. And we tend to put a face on when we see all the things going on around the world, around us, especially these days. And so we try to just hold things back and we try to plod on through the day. But if you don't address some of those issues, and this perhaps does give you a moment, gives you a little moment to just sit here, as you say, about the space itself as well. It is a reflective space, and it allows you to have a little thought, maybe, as the young people did with their envelopes, maybe write it down, put that message into something that'll never be opened. It's a way of cathartically dealing with the pressures of the modern world, shall we say, or just having a hopeful wish for the future.
Thank you so much, Tim. We've really enjoyed working with you and hope to carry on